The company that taught India to order biryani at midnight has quietly erased its own corporate identity. The parent company behind Zomato no longer exists under that name. It is now officially called Eternal. To understand how jarring this is, look at the streets of almost any Indian city. That bright red uniform is everywhere. Swiggy and Zomato are so deeply ingrained in daily vocabulary that Zomato Kuro is just how millions of people say order food. Ownership of a verb is the rarest achievement in business. To reach that level, a company has to survive economic cycles, outlast competitors, and become a literal reflex for millions of people over the course of decades. Yet founder Deepinder Goyal decided to kill the Zomato name at the corporate level. In his letter to shareholders, he framed this decision as a rigid mission statement for the future. This shift takes effect directly on the public exchanges, as the actual stock ticker transitions from Zomato to Eternal. So why would a massive platform take a universally recognized identity and replace it with something vague and unproven? If you are an everyday user ordering dinner, nothing changes. You'll likely never notice this happened. India's relationship with brand names is incredibly habitual. If the red icon on your phone suddenly turned orange and called itself Eternal, the friction would severely damage their core revenue. That is because this rebrand is strictly aimed at three specific audiences: investors, regulators, and future corporate hires. The actual catalyst forcing this boardroom shuffle is a completely different business. In 2022, Zomato acquired Blinkit, a quick commerce app promising 10-minute delivery. This chart shows the projected valuation balance between the two services. What started as a risky bet has accelerated so fast that analysts estimate Blinkit could soon account for 70%. When an acquired subsidiary begins to drive the majority of a group's value, the original name becomes a psychological anchor. Investors seeking a retail logistics powerhouse often struggle to value a company that is still named after a food delivery app. The transition to Eternal aligns the corporate structure with the reality of the balance sheet. The company has evolved into a multi-sector platform, and the new name reflects that scale. To manage this, they are adopting a holding company structure. A holding company is simply a master corporate entity that owns other businesses, sitting invisibly above the consumer-facing products. This diagram shows Eternal's actual operating portfolio. Eternal sits at the top, managing separate branches for quick commerce with Blinkit, food delivery under Zomato, the B2B supply chain through Hyperpure, and a new events business called District. Creating these separate silos provides risk isolation. If one of these businesses faces a regulatory crackdown or a major public controversy, the legal and optical fallout is contained to that specific branch, protecting the equity of the other apps. We saw this exact strategy play out globally in 2021. Mark Zuckerberg renamed Facebook's parent company to Meta to signal to investors that the corporation had ambitions far beyond a single social media platform. Separating the consumer brand from the corporate boardroom is a mature structural maneuver. It preserves the trust users have in the app, while giving executives absolute flexibility to acquire or build entirely new businesses. While the structural math makes sense, the actual name they chose is highly unusual. Traditional Indian corporate giants use grounded, functional names, like Reliance for dependability or Infosys for information systems. Eternal borders on spiritual. It is a massive claim. Naming your corporate entity after the concept of forever tells the market you intend to outlast every economic cycle and competitor. That sets a dangerous psychological standard. Every missed quarterly earnings report, every supply chain failure, and every gig worker strike will now be measured against the irony of a company that declared itself permanent. The holding company strategy gives Deepinder Goyal the exact corporate vehicle he needs to grow, but the title demands flawless execution to avoid becoming a punchline. The original app secured its dominance by successfully changing how millions of people eat. Now, the newly formed holding company, Eternal, has to prove it can actually survive the unforgiving future it just challenged.